All right, let's talk about something we all do, something that's fundamental to being human: telling stories. Today, we're going to dive into how that very act is being completely upended by data and artificial intelligence. So let's just start with the big one, the question at the heart of all this. What happens when the tools we use to tell stories start telling them for us? It's a question that feels like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's becoming our reality way faster than anyone thought possible. Now, before we can even get to AI, we gotta rewind a little bit. To really see where we're going, you have to understand where we've been. The first huge change didn't come from an algorithm. It came from the digital revolution itself, and it totally changed the game. For pretty much all of human history, a story was a straight line. Think about it. Any classic book, any movie, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But as soon as stories moved online, that simple, straight line just exploded into a million different paths. This new digital canvas introduced three, game changers. First, you had interactivity, which suddenly turned us, the audience, into actual participants. Then came hypermedia, which connected stories in this giant web of links. And all of that led to nonlinearity, where you, the user, could carve your own path through it all. And you know what the craziest part was? For the first time ever, the storyteller wasn't completely in control anymore. Okay, so that was the first big leap, but the next evolution, it was even more profound. We went from just using digital tools to make stories to using data itself as the actual raw material. This is the moment when numbers and stats learned how to talk. And this visual, it just nails the process. It really is like a factory, but a factory for meaning. You start with this messy, raw data on one end, and through this really structured process, you turn it into a story that people can actually understand and connect with. And this whole thing, it's not some lone genius in a room. It's a full-on team sport. You've got the data analyst, who's kind of like an explorer, digging through the numbers for interesting nuggets. Then the scripter comes in, like an architect, building a solid plot from all those facts. And finally, the editor swoops in to polish everything, making it shine for an audience. So why does any of this matter? Well, it's not just about making charts look nice. It's about making information truly useful. A great data story actually makes complicated stuff easier to digest. It helps us make way smarter decisions. And at the end of the day, it helps us understand our world in a much deeper way. And that brings us right up to this very moment, the absolute explosion of generative AI. If data gave stories a brand new language, AI is giving them a brand new author. This is without a doubt the biggest shift we've seen yet, and the scale of it is just mind-boggling. To really wrap your head around the scale here, just look at this number: $3 trillion. That's the recent market value of NVIDIA, the company making the chips that are powering this whole revolution. To put that into perspective, that's more than 30 times the value of a classic chipmaker like Intel. This isn't just a trend, it's an economic earthquake. But all of that incredible power comes at a staggering cost. Training these huge AI models that can generate stories takes a massive, almost unbelievable amount of energy. So much, in fact, that the biggest tech companies are literally making plans to build their data centers right next to nuclear power plants just to keep up. That's the real-world, physical price of our new digital storytellers. Okay, so we have this incredibly powerful tech, but can it actually tell a good story? Let's do a little side-by-side. On the left, a human-written opening. Sam didn't know she wasn't human. Boom. Instant tension, instant mystery. On the right, a pretty typical AI opening. It's descriptive, sure, but there's no hook. The human makes you ask a question inside your own head, while the AI is just describing what's happening on the outside. And that difference right there, that brings up the absolute biggest question in all of this. As these AI tools get smarter and more capable, what's our role? What's the uniquely human part of being creative? How do we make sure our stories still have that, human spark? Well, one really powerful answer is an idea called participatory design, and it's actually pretty simple. Instead of tech companies just building these AI tools in a bubble, this approach says you have to involve the actual users, the writers, the artists, the audience, in the design process from the very beginning. It's about designing with people, not just for them. And you know what? Research totally backs this up. One study put human-curated stories head-to-head with automated summaries, and the results couldn't have been clearer. People found the human-led stories way more interesting, much more emotionally engaging, and they were far more likely to share them with others. The automated summaries, they were often described with just one word: bland. And this quote just gets right to the heart of it all. A story isn't just a perfect photograph of reality. It's about interpretation, about perspective, about what it all means. It's about representing reality in a way that connects with another person. And right now, that is a deeply, deeply human skill. So, after all that, where does this leave us? We've seen this incredible evolution happen in such a short amount of time. And honestly, the pace is only getting faster. I mean, think about the journey we just took. We went from the digital canvas of interactive stories to the data blueprints that gave structure to numbers, and now we are smack in the middle of the age of AI architects. The very building blocks of what a story is are changing right under our feet. And that leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger, doesn't it? Is AI going to be our creative partner, something that makes us even more imaginative, or is it going to be our replacement? The honest truth is, nobody knows for sure. The story of storytelling itself, well, that's the one chapter we're all writing together right now.